Thank you very much for joining us today again on Smack Media. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel so that you give us more oomph to contribute more to the ongoings in the country, around Africa, and in the world. My name again is Chris Maliongovi, and the point today has been that we discuss about the issue of a point that has created issues of late, and that is the death of the release of the person who actually murdered anti-apartheid leader and freedom fighter Chris Hani. So we've had so many issues and people asking that people should make contributions as to exactly what does it entail, how does it augur to the public eye, to the masses, as to the question of the release of that anti-apartheid leader, the release of the murderer. So, in my opinion, I can say that it has brought shivers around the black world. The question of the release of Walus, it's Valus in some places, as they might call him in Europe, is a very sad state of affair. Because if it was in other places, were it that it was a black person who had killed a white person, I think he wouldn't have been released. Many of them are hanged, and others are jailed forever. But because it was a white person, it has really raised eyebrows as to how the parole was arrived at very fast. But it should also be understood that South Africa is a country that is not really done with the question of apartheid. There is apartheid in South Africa as we still speak. Our black brothers have limitation as to where they can visit. Some of the hotels that we might think are for public entrance in South Africa are not a place for our black people to enter. So the same atrocities we are seeing in places like America, where blacks are being killed, or whenever there is an attack by a black person, the reaction is greatly in suppression of the black people, is exactly what we are also seeing right now, currently in South Africa. So I can say that first we should look at the genesis of the entire matter. Like it has always been said, that the release of President Nelson Mandela from prison was a choreographed story, and choreographed in the sense that even during the negotiations for multi-party elections and so on, that ended the apartheid rule, Mandela was negotiating alone. He was in prison alone negotiating. And at even some point, some people said that Comrade Mandela was almost so close to the very apartheid regime that he was actually fighting. It should be understood that at one point there is a generation of the 1970s that was also imprisoned at Robben Island. When they visited Robben Island, they found that to their surprise, Mandela was living in quite great comfort at Robben Island. And these are the generation that came afterwards, after the Soweto riots and so on. We are talking about the likes of Tokyo Sihwale and so on. So it's a sad story that Chris Hani had to be murdered shortly before multi-party elections in South Africa. And one thing that many people have always questioned is whether the killing of Chris Hani was actually an organized thing, that is an organized crime thing, because just like the story of Kenya, Dedan Kimathi was hanged some few years before Kenyatta was released. And it was very known that if at all independence was to be there, and then definitely Dedan Kimathi would have become the president. The same thing that has happened here is that if Chris Hani had lived, there was a lot of jostling as to who should be the real leader of the independent South Africa, who was truly true to the ideals that the freedom fighters were had committed their lives to. So the question of Chris Hani being murdered by a guy from originally from said to be from Poland, and knowing very well that we had during the Cold War we had the Warsaw Pact and we had the NATO. The Warsaw Pact, meaning the Warsaw meaning the capital is in Poland. So the Warsaw Pact associated itself so much with, or was identified with, the people linked to communism. So the question that Chris Hani was murdered by a person from Warsaw, from Poland, I mean, it raises so many questions as to how did it just happen. Yet, Chris Hani was actually so much linked to the communists. So this parole is a stab in the back to very many Africans, to many black people, to the people who still fight for the emancipation of black people. It's a sad story, and we believe that the people of South Africa will continue with the struggle. And our struggle has always not been that the white person is expelled, but that we should find a living existence, a suitable living existence between the white community and the black community in South Africa, so that at the end of the day we coexist, and coexistence in the real meaning of the word, not a society where people feel that by virtue of skin color someone is more special to the other. I mean, for instance, the white man feels because of their skin color they are much more superior, they are more intelligent, they are so on. And on the other side also the black people in South Africa believing that they are black, their black color is synonymous with the soil on which they live. So basically these are the issues that everyone should be thinking about, on how to create a synergy and unity between themselves. And then there is need for the review of the laws in South Africa. I think murder should be punished with a life sentence. A life sentence. I mean, the being too soft on crime in South Africa has created a very big problem, because at the end of the day South Africa is becoming the crime capital of Africa, where, and even the third world, the crime capital of the third world. So this question of giving someone parole, and there are people who have murdered black people over the years. They also might want to get out, and so someone can also be just contracted, kill so and so, and then we'll release you after some time, and so on and so forth. So these are very serious issues, and we believe that for those people who love peace, for those people who always fight for the good and emancipation of Africa, I think we need to review the way and under which circumstances of release of people, the commutation of how they commute life sentences to either manslaughter and someone is released, or they reduce it to a certain period of time and someone is let go. and the family is going to reek with pain. We are talking about the family of Chris Hani, the widow, and everyone, people, not just the widow, the entire African nation and the entire black people around the world were ached by the death of Chris Hani. So, and people might, on the other side, the white community might say that Chris Hani was brutal, was a murderer, was a killer. Um, was the was the use of force in South Africa at that time justifiable? The answer is yes. If people come with violence against you, you don't go with a silver platter and pray for them. When America was attacked at Pearl Harbor, when they were attacked at World Trade Center, they didn't take Osama bin Laden, Mullah Muhammad Omar to the temples for prayers. They didn't take them for prayer. They went and attacked Afghanistan. So when you tell us that the blacks were supposed to be beaten, killed, murdered on several occasions, we've seen these things up to very recent times when we saw our black brothers at Marikana mines being shot and butchered. I mean, it raises very many issues of of that they call correctness, political correctness. That when an African is killed, it's okay, but when a white man is killed, it's very bad. That one is evil. Those are brutal. They are barbaric, and so on and so forth. So what we're trying to say is that. The struggle in South Africa, the armed struggle, which even others, including Nelson Mandela, participated in, because actually he was the founder of the Umkhonto we Sizwe, we can say that it was justifiable. So if Chris Hani had any issues that were linked to his revolutionary acts, having led perhaps to being hunted by some white supremacists, I think that he was justified, because our people had been shot at Sharperville, our people had been shot in Soweto riots, and so on. So many people had been killed, and the same, as we are saying, the same is being replicated in modern day massacres like the one we saw at Marikana. So, in short, we can say that the parole of the murderer of Chris Hani is a stab in the back for blacks around the world, and we'll really need to bring in debates as to what we should review in relation to the laws that govern our people and creating civilized societies. So with those remarks, I believe that the struggle will still continue, and a luta continua. Thank you very much.